Alright guys, today we are solving trig equations. Today is February 14th. First example I want to show you is sine of x, or sine x plus square root of 2 equals negative sine x. And we're going to find all x's on the domain 0 to 2 pi, which is just one full circle. So right here, if you're solving for x, you want to get the x's on the same side. So I'll subtract sine x from both sides. So I get a square root of 2 is equal to negative 2 sine x. And then I'll divide by negative 2. So we get sine x is equal to negative square root of 2 over 2. Where that happens is at, let's see, 5 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. Okay. Next example, 3 tangent squared minus 1. So if I add the 1, and divide the 3. Now I want to take the square root of both sides. So when I force that square root, I get tangent x is equal to plus or minus 1 over square root of 3, because the square root of 1 is just 1. Okay. Now remember that tangent is sine over cosine. Which, if I'm looking for a 1 over square root of 3, then I'm looking for, when I use my unit circle, I'm looking for a 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2. Because the 2's will cross out, and that gives you 1 over square root of 3. So I need a sine of 1/2, and I need a cosine that gives me square root of 3 over 2. So that would be at, let me see here, pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, and then again it's 7 pi over 6, which gives you a positive, and then let's see, 11 pi over 6. And as long as those answers fall between 0 and 2 pi, then you're good to go. Okay, so right here, I'm going to, this is a quadratic here, so I'm going to set it equal to 0. Excuse me. So I'll subtract that cotangent. Now I'm going to factor out the cotangent. Set that equal to 0. So remember, cotangent is cosine over sine. So really I'm just looking, I'm going to figure out where, what angles is cosine 0, because that will give me 0. Remember, if sine is 0, here we go, cosine has to be 0. If sine is 0, then that would be undefined. So we're looking at, what would that be, pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Where the x values are 0 on the unit circle. And this one right here, set that equal to 0. So I'm going to add the 1, take the square root, so we're looking at 0 and pi. So 4 solutions there. Here, example 4. You'd want to factor this. So this has to be 2 sine and sine. And then this has to be 1 and 1 if it's going to equal -1, and one of those has to be negative. So they have to add up to get that -1, so I'm going to make that negative and that positive. And that still equals 0. So 2 sine x plus 1 is equal to 0. 2 sine x is equal to -1. Sine x is -1/2. So x would be 7 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. And then over here we get sine x is equal to +1. So x equals pi over 2. Okay, so now things are going to change a little bit. Notice in this problem I've got cosine 2x. So here's the deal. Let's go ahead and add 1 there. And divide the 2. Here's the deal, is anytime you get what we call just a weird angle, a scary angle in there, something other than x, we want you to go ahead and just replace that with a question mark. And go ahead and figure out at what angles does cosine equal 1/2. Okay, so cosine equals 1/2 at pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. Okay, but here's the deal. If this is 2x, that means that we have a horizontal shrink. Which means that my period is now pi. So if you're looking at a graph, looks like this. From 0 to pi, we've completed 1 cycle. So if my given domain is 2 pi, then I need to complete another cycle to get all the way to 2 pi. Okay? So if this is 2x, then that tells you that I need to go around the circle twice. If it was 3x, I would need to go around 3 times, and so on. So right here, I've got pi over 3, 5 pi over 3. I'm going to keep going one more revolution. So 7 pi over 3 and 11 pi over 3. So 2x equals all that. Now, to get x, I'm just going to divide everything by 2. And the last one there is 11 pi over 6. Notice my final answer, everything falls between 0 and 2 pi. Okay. Alright, so here's one where your b is 1/2. So if I subtract the 3 and divide the 3, we'll say tangent of question mark. So we've got a scary angle there. So tangent of question mark is -1. Remember, tangent is slope. So if you're looking at your unit circle, we're talking about where tangent is -1, what angles, so that would be 3 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. And then when I bring that back, when I solve for x, I multiply by 2, so I get 6 pi over 4 there, which is 3 pi over 2. And I get 14 pi over 4, which is 7 pi, whoops, not equals, 7 pi over 2. And then notice this one right here is too big. So we only have one solution. Now there, the secret is, because my b was 1/2, I really only needed to go around half of a turn there, half of a revolution. So that first one, that 3 pi over 4, I could have just stopped there. Okay, one more for you. If I subtract the 3 and divide the 2, I get sine x minus pi equals 1/2. So sine question mark equals 1/2. So question mark, you know, and I just tell my students, whenever you get just a weird angle that you don't really know what to do with it, switch it to question mark and then just go around a couple times and see if you start getting angles that are too big. So when I do that, I get pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 13 pi over 6, because I'm going around twice now, so I just went past 2 pi, and then 17 pi over 6, which is back in that second quadrant. And then, so all of that equals x minus pi. Now this one's pretty simple. It looks difficult, but if I'm going to solve for x, I'm adding pi. So the ones that I went around twice, they're definitely too big, because if I add a pi to that, it's going to be obviously well over 2 pi. So these guys are too big. But this one, when I add a pi to it, I get 7 pi over 6. And then this one, when I add a pi to it, I get 11 pi over 6. Just under 2 pi. And there you go. There's 7 examples of solving trig equations. We'll do more with that tomorrow. Thank you.